Does the title scare you?
No. Should it?
As you all know, when I prepare a Sunday service, I always do, turn to Spirit. No matter how much preparation has come during the week, I'll ask, tell me what to say, give me the words to say. And sometimes all the preparation gets scrapped and I get the words to say and it's beautiful. Sometimes I'm told to speak exactly what I'm given. Sometimes it's done in concept form. And this time when I was preparing for this service today and asking, here's my page 1. It was blank. And all I heard was, teach them to thrive. And I said, okay, I can do that. What words? It's like, teach them to thrive. So I flowed with that. And so you get it today from a user standpoint, I guess, versus hot off the divine press. So this is what Spirit did tell me, and I talk with Spirit all the time. So here's our theme for today. You all understand tithing. Do I need to back up and explain that? Tithing is an idea of supporting where you're spiritually fed. In the ancient world, it was a tax. It was a 10% tax. It was expected. It was required. There was no option with it. As we've evolved in consciousness and Christianity and partnering with God, it becomes something we want to do to partner with God. Say partnering with God versus say requirement. So now we're going to talk about it metaphysically. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Tithing brings God into our vibration of matter, no matter what level of purity, faith, clarity, or love you are living in. We're bringing God into that vibration of matter when we tithe. We are including God in us. So, in the energy of God, partnering, we're partnering with God. So I'm going to make it basic. I'm going to go back and explain just a few little things. I know most of you understand this, but I will speak it. We live in a world of matter. We are spiritual beings. We look to Spirit. We ask for guidance. We ask to be given insights. We ask to be taught and to grow and expand. In our minds, in our emotions, in our relationships, we ask for greater love in our relationships. We ask for greater prosperity in our world. We ask for greater things to make us happy. We are asking for spiritual input to make things greater in the world. When we make things greater in the world, we are dealing in the world of form. And the world of form is also known as matter. So your relationships are matter. Your job is matter. How you relate with your children is matter. We're all in the world of matter. The clothes you put on, the cars you drive, all of it's matter. All of it's matter. It's not just your bank account. All of it's matter. And when we're asking Spirit to move through us, to talk to us, to be with us, and then we ask for it to move through our matter, where is the gratitude back? When you think about it, when do you give back in matter to Spirit? Where is that gratitude back? So, you know, at Thanksgiving, we all get so excited and we make our favorite little dish, or Patrick might make a turkey, what you will. And so we go to somewhere and we're bringing our gifts of food and celebration, and we are giving back to the people we love in matter. We do it at Christmas. We buy presents. We love you. I tell you I love you all the time, but I still want to give something to you in matter. Are you with me? Okay. Think about your life and think about the life of every human being that walks the earth. How often and how many opportunities does our world teach us to give back to God in matter? And this is the idea of tithing. This is the idea of staying connected with God. Give back to God in matter. Everybody getting that? Say, I got that crystal clear.
Yeah.
Crystal clear. Okay. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about just the basics of it. Ready? Okay. In matter, we're fabulous beings of light. We're spiritual beings in this wonderful world where we get to create, where we get to throw molecules together and create our realities. So what we do as human beings, we look at what's already been created, and we go, okay, well, let me see what's out there. We do. And then we choose from what we see as human beings. Even when you get guidance, most of us, not all of us, but some of us, when we still get guidance and God goes, no, I'm going to show you something you've never seen before, we go, yeah, show me what I can see already. Because I really want to manifest something and I want it to be familiar. So, do you see how we're staying in our own level of consciousness in our own minds? So as a people, we see what's out there, and then we choose what we want. That's us. And then we invest 100% of our time and energy trying to make it happen. We work it, we work it, we work it, we work it. We're trying to make it happen. And then it happens. And whose energy has created it? Yours. You've used your energy to create it. And that's fine. That's perfect. That's perfect. And with that, the experience you create will be no different than any experience you've ever had. It will look different, maybe, but it will feel like you. It will feel familiar. It will feel like you just invested all of your energy to make that happen. And most of us are drained in the process. Because we can't see the greater, we're using 100% of our energy, and the experience we have will match our vibration. And that's how we live on the planet. So it's this circle. Circle. And if we're having challenges, we can recircle challenges. If we're having, whatever we're doing, we're staying in our level of consciousness. And you can grow through that, you can grow, but growth on a human plane is slow. Everybody agree? The idea of tithing is this. The idea of partnering with God is this. We see what is, our perception, we open our viewing point, we see what is, and then we say, God, show me greater. Is there a greater perception? Is there a greater viewing point I might be able to see? And then we let Spirit truly show us something greater. And then we choose from what we see. We choose from what we see, and we say that, I would like that. Not because you have it, or you have it, or you have it, or you have it. I said this before, I'll say it again. Most of you buy your car because you've seen it on TV and it looks really cool. Or you saw someone that had one and it looked really cool. Or someone said you need to have that kind of car. Most of you did not dream your car in, did you? You looked at, yeah, I did too. But we look at, most of us don't. Most of us look at what is and then we pick from what is. But with Spirit you can actually dream things in and they will become for you. So you see with the eyes of God, you choose, and then the investment part kicks in. When you are working with God and partnering with God and you start investing energy, you know how much energy you use for this manifestation? 10%. You know how much God energy is used for this manifestation? 90%. You're investing your energy of focus, you're investing your energy of prayer, you're investing your energy of claiming, and God is using, God energy is moving energy to create the matter you desire. That's partnering with God. Then the creation is so big, it's bigger than you ever thought it could be. It's bigger, it's, oh my God, how did this happen? This is amazing. And then you get to grow into owning that creation because it has the God magic in it. Now, you know when you get something that has the God magic in it, don't you? And your heart just gets expanded and explodes. And then you get the pleasure of living in it because you allowed God to partner with you during the creation. Already knew all of that? Okay. So, when we work from our level of consciousness currently, we will create at our level of consciousness currently. When we seek to partner with God, we can create at a higher level. So I have a story for you. I knew a woman many years ago who was just getting into metaphysics. She was just getting into metaphysics. This is her story. And she was working at affirmations, doing everything, and she went to her minister, and she was just ticked. She sat down in front of her minister, and she said, look, Pastor, this isn't working. This metaphysical stuff just does not work. I'm trying it, I'm affirming, I'm writing affirmations left and right, and blah, 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 and it does not work. And he looked at her, and he said, girl, do you tithe? She goes, well, no. And he said, don't talk to me until you start tithing. And I don't have another thing to say to you. Good day, have a good day. Shoot her out of his office. Well, she got extra ticked at that point. And she was going to prove him wrong. She was going to prove him wrong, by golly, right now. So she started tithing. So she started tithing in anger, with gritted teeth, to that church. Look, I'll write that check. She never went back into his office because things started working. Things started working to the degree that she actually became quite wealthy. She became, I don't know, millionaire probably, quite wealthy. Then in later years she became a minister, and then in later years she became a prosperity teacher because she lived that story. But it was her surrendering to the oneness of God, her surrendering and being a part of it. So, tithe brings God into our matter. Most of us turn to God when our matter is broken. We have hardships in matter. When our relationships are broken, when our finances are stretched, when we need a job, when we need daycare, when we're going through drama in matter that we created, that we participated in and allowed to be in our world, then we turn to God. And then we beg and we plead, God, please help me, God, please, I will promise you, God. Don't you always make a promise to God? Is that not of terror when you're just, oh, please, God, help me. And we are literally in those moments surrendering our will and saying, God, I give up. I don't know the answer. Give me the answer. We're literally lifting up in those moments. Do you see that? And then guess, that opens us to receive. That opens us so God can touch us because we've just opened up to it. And then God moves through us and then we find the healing and then everything starts to work out and everything becomes okay. And somehow the relationship gets fixed and the job gets fixed or we made it through that thing and then we come into balance and wholeness. And then we're living our life again. And when do you give back? God doesn't need matter. God is in all things. God just fixed your matter. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Every parent who is in here loves the moment when their child is old enough and looks at them and says, I got this lunch bill. Every parent. When the child says, I'm picking up the tab today for you. Do you not, parents, love that moment?
Yeah.
When it finally arrives and your child is saying, I am going to thank you for all the meals you've given me. It only takes one time and the parents go, thank you, God. Where do we give back to God? How do we say thank you to God? Most churches do a service on tithing when they need money. Did you know that? It's a secret among ministers. That's not why I'm doing this service. We're fine. We have a budget. We make our budget. God provides miracles and miracles. We actually live in miracles. We live in miracles all the time. When we need, it comes. It just comes. It's amazing. So for 28 years, this has been happening. But I wanted to share a couple of stories just so you can understand the flow. And I will tell you, I myself, this is not an unknown concept to me. I was raised with it. And I myself have always, for the most part of my life, tithed. I would have more tithe money set aside than it would equal my bills, same amount. I would never touch that money until I was told to send it somewhere. I wasn't churched at the time. And once I became churched, I would always tithe. I always wanted God to be a part of my life, wanted God to be a part of my matter, because I knew I could not make things happen without that. Because even before I became a minister, what I was attempting to accomplish required greater than the resources I had, always. And I was always supplied. It was always a miracle. So we live in miracles. But when I was young, and so I started the church with Spirit. I was 35 when I was ordained. And you've heard this story before, but I want to share it with you. It was tough. It was interestingly tough. And one day we'd had a Sunday service and the offering was so small, and we were having we needed some money for a specific thing and we weren't making ends meet. And I sat on my bed, I went home, sat on my bed. This is before cell phones. This is when your landlines, and I'm on my bed Sunday afternoon and I am crying, that deep cry, that heart cry of I do not know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do. And I had the church checkbook and I laid it on my lap. And I said, God, we're tithers. I'm a tither. The church is tithing. God, I need you. I'm crying. The phone rings, my landline rings. And it's my friend Deborah. And she said, I'm sorry for interrupting. I know it's Sunday. I know you're busy. But Holy Spirit told me to call you right now. And Deborah was churched in another church. She didn't come to our church on a regular basis. She was a friend, and she supported us from the beginning. And would come to Tuesday nights. And she said, God wanted me to call you right now, and I would never, ever normally do this. But I've been directed to take part of my tithe and send it to your church. And I needed to tell you. And I started bawling. Do you remember? I was bawling. Oh my God, what a miracle that was in the moment of my greatest heartbreak. The light was set. And she's consistently, for 20-something years, supported this church with a portion of her tithe that she was directed to give. It was this idea of, I've got you. That was the moment when I felt the arms of God just grab me and say, Cindy, it's okay. It may be little, it doesn't matter the amount. I hear you. I've got you. Don't you worry about it. You know? And so I wanted to share that with you. And also, I wanted to also share with you about the spirit of the tithe. We're partnering with God is about everything. You know how Spirit will remind you of something that happened in your past and it comes up out of nowhere? And you're going, why am I thinking about that? Well, the other day I was minding my own business, as I always am. And I was reminded of David's childhood. My son, once he started soccer, he was in soccer, and I'm saying in soccer. So we would try to go to all the games. Patrick would take him to the events that they would go to, the tournaments. We're budget people, you know, and we're focused on this church. And he got a pair of cleats every year. I knew he would get a pair of cleats every year. That's just what he would get, and I'm good with that. And so the child would come home, and I don't know when this started, maybe high school, and he'd have on a nice pair of socks, and I'd go, oh, those are cute. Where'd you get those? Oh, Zach gave them to me. He had an extra pair. And I went, oh, okay. Then he came in, there's an extra pair of cleats. I said, where'd you get those cleats? Oh, Zach had an extra pair. Well, Zach's folks had a disposable income well above what ours would have been, and I just thought, well, that Zach, he's just like spend money. And this happened for years. And every time he'd bring something home, Zach, oh, well, Spirit was talking to me, and Spirit said, Cindy, do you think it was because Zach was just a spendthrift? I was taking care of David. I was taking care of David all those years. I take care of your needs before you even know you need them. You don't even have to ask. And I said, oh, thank you, God, and bless Zach. Because he never told me what he needed. He didn't tell me he needed stuff. He played probably in stuff till they fell apart. But the universe was taking care of him because he was a part of our world. So what they said was, God supplies when you do not even know you have a need. And that is where take no thought comes in. When you are partnering with God, you have entered into a relationship where you are now telling your partner, take care of what I don't see, man. I'm doing this over here. You provide everything else. Take care of what I'm not paying attention to. And it says, Spirit, God knows your needs before you even ask. When you're partnering with God, you don't have to ask. You just let that energy flow to you. When you partner with God, you have already given permission for the supply. Give me this day my daily bread. It's already there, and you're already expected. Partnering with God requires an inclusion of God. You invest and you receive, and now you give back. And when you think about it, how many would partner with you in a business and accept 10% as their salary? Nobody I know. Nobody I know, unless you're married to them. Such a small cost. In Jesus' time, the people tithed because it was a law. It was not a question. shall or shall I not. It was a law when he was working with the Jewish people of his time. So he taught them about vibration. So you all know the widow mite story, where he is watching they would go and they would give of their offerings, and it was financial, but it was also stuff that they had grown and things. And he was watching the wealthy give of their offerings, their 10%, and then he watched a widow, and he was standing watching the offering plate. Don't you think that would be odd? Jesus is watching the offering plate, being his disciples in his synagogue. It's right toward the end of his journey too. And a widow comes and she puts 2 mites in the offering, which is apparently a very small sum of money. And he says to his disciples, these who have given have not given what she did, because she gave her all. She gave all that she had. And she gave it in faith that it would be supplied, returned to her. She gave it in faith that I'm walking with God. And you know, every time, guys, you give up your soul, every time you say, God, take me, I give you everything I have, I give you my life, I give you everything, take it. You know what God says? I don't want it. I want you to partner with me. That's yours, that's yours. You got free will. I need you out there creating. I want you to have a good life. I want you to enjoy yourself. That's your job. To become divine, spiritually realized children of God. I want to partner with you. I want to partner with you. You know, that's what God says. So we also teach to give where you're spiritually fed. Give where you're spiritually fed. So this means you give wherever you're spiritually fed. That's what we teach. When you give to a church where you're spiritually fed, that acknowledges the teachings they've given you, and it also allows that church to sustain. If you give to someone who fed you spiritually, you're acknowledging the God energy that came through them, and it also allows them to sustain that God energy, to keep talking at that higher level of consciousness. Several years, actually it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, there was a couple that was coming to the church, and they were tithers, and I think someone had gotten a bonus or something, so they came to us. I was handed an envelope, and I was told, this is for you and Patrick. We do not want you to give this to the church. This is for the 2 of you. We want to acknowledge the work that you have done all these years. And so this is for you, and we'd like for you to accept it. And the envelope was $500. And I said, oh my gosh, no, you won't get to write this off on your tax deduction if you give it to us. And she said, we don't care. That's the first time anybody has said, I don't care if I don't get a tax deduction. Because we're good about that. We're good about giving those letters. I was stunned. I was grateful. And that $500 paid for the printing of the book, Manifesting Made Easy, The Miracle of Tithing, that Spirit had me write in 2008. So, thank you, John and Nancy. God has our needs covered. God has all that we need covered. Everybody breathe. I'm going to close quickly with a little story from Karen Price. Karen was one of our original members. She's shared her story with us. I was in my 30s when I started to learn the energy behind the concept of tithing, and it fascinated me. I liked the idea of partnering with God, but I had been unchurched since I was 15. It was in the early days of my business, and I was always financially on the edge, very careful with my spending. The idea of giving 10% totally panicked me. There was no way I would survive. But I was learning, and it was important to give with joy from my heart, where I was spiritually fed, and trust God to take care of my daily needs. The trust God was my challenge. So I talked with God and I said, okay, I'm willing to go for it, but I have to take steps to get there. I started with 5% of my net pay. Amazing things happened. Money and stuff, resources and support would all come from unexpected sources, and always I would say a prayer of thank you. I think gratitude goes hand in hand with tithing. It took a few years to get to 10% of my gross pay. I bumped it up gradually over time. Once I was comfortable with a new level and past the fear, I was ready to partner with God in another small increase. During the time I was unchurched, so I gave to places that fed my spirit. Might have been a park I hiked in, or an author of a book, a musician I loved. I always gave with joy and gratitude for the blessings I'd received. It has been a 20-year journey, and there have been many years of difficult personal growth, but with God I have always found a way. I've been able to maintain that faith and connection by continuing our partnership. Once in meditation, my angels told me I need to ask for more. So that's become my challenge, to remember to ask for what I need and be a good receiver in my spiritual partnership. And that's our precious Karen, who crossed over a few years ago. In the front of the book, Spirit had me write, most people come to tithing as a means to prosper. A lot of people think God is a magic wand. I invite you to come to tithing as a door to a new reality. Just to be with Spirit. Everybody take a breath, and let's go within. Father, Mother God, we ask that your light fill this room. And I would invite a beautiful column of light to come over each one present. And as it does, let each one begin to feel your Spirit. Truly, God, nearer than hands and feet. Nearer than hands and feet. You are source and all. And I would invite each of you just to become aware of that light that surrounds you. Notice if it has a color. Invite the presence of Jesus Christ to stand by your side. Invite the love of God to fill you. And no matter where you are or what you have done in your world, I want you to feel how supportive you have been by God. All that you have allowed in has come. Feel gratitude for the relationship you currently have. God, I am grateful for the supply and the support, for the communion and communication. I am grateful. And as you send that love, feel that connection with God. And if you're ready, you can ask, how might I show you in matter the gratitude I have for all that I've received? You don't have to ask, but you could. And if you don't get an answer now, no one will come. And when it comes, it will feel divine and loving and kind. And Father, Mother God, I ask that you now move through each of our consciousness to the level we are able to receive, to fill us to overflowing with supply and support. And we do ask in this moment for your joy, your abundance, and your peace to fill us. And we send our gratitude to you for all that now is and is to come. Take a deep breath and breathe in that column of light. Breathe all that love into your body. Feel that love for Jesus Christ and for your own life here. For you are not alone. Feel the chair that holds you. Let your focus come back to this moment. I am good. And I'm ready for a next step. And so it is. So breathe and gently open your eyes. And just by asking that little prayer, how can I give back? in manner, you will surprise yourself. When you get the answer and when you do it, you will surprise yourself how you feel. So, as you gather this week for Thanksgiving with your family and friends, remember how important your giving back to them is. Remember how important it is to share gratitude. And just take a moment when that prayer is done on that Thanksgiving meal to be grateful to the universe for all that we do have. Say, yay, God.
Yeah.